So, a few weeks back, Julian and I, for different reasons, were able to go to an amazing three-tikanga regional conference, Taloana, which is a word for that kind of conference, or hui, in Suva in Fiji. And I want to share a bit about that. There it was at the Pacific Theological College. And look, there I am, and it was called Moana Part 2, and Moana, the ocean, the Pacific Ocean, and this is how close the college is to the ocean there. And there we all are, sitting in the room. So it took me a while to get my head around exactly what this conference was. Very high level, the people who were there. Only one formal representative from each Pākehā diocese. But the first Moana conference 4 or 5 years ago had been a collaboration between the Diocese of Polynesia and Lincoln Diocese in the UK, over there in the UK, and an enormous amount of really inspiring work had been done both in the UK and in our province since then, and we were hearing back. So it was very exciting really to be somewhere where it wasn't the start of a conversation, it was, this is the amazing mahi that's going on, let's keep going. There's me, definitely not asleep because I travelled for 18 hours the day before, and Julian behind me getting her camera ready to go. So we were in this beautiful, spiritual, Anglican context. We were in the chapel each morning there, so hot, the doors were open, and it was all what it felt like, the worship on the final day at Suva Cathedral. This part? Archbishops, you hardly swing a cat without being an archbishop. And time sitting around talking to one another too. And you see there a book being read that was a book of climate poetry from an 11-year-old, written by an 11-year-old from our diocese, that was put in as part of the gifts that came from New Zealand to that. And a very rich Polynesian cultural context. Also, of course, mana whenua from here in New Zealand, and Pākehā people, and some international representatives. But but had a bit of kava, I have to say, while we were there. And the theme was climate change, action, hope, resilience on climate change, but also the ocean, the Moana. And they showed us this amazing slide of the view of Earth if you centre on the Pacific Ocean. And what a gift the Pacific Ocean, the Moana, the water of life, is to us from God, and how we need to take care of it, and what a danger climate change is to the ocean. And although we love the ocean and it's our home, nevertheless it becomes a danger to us in the context of climate change. And to keep that focus, they took us out on this amazing ocean-going waka at one point. So, guys, I was really proud of our church in this context. It kind of hit me by surprise what a beautiful, uplifting experience it was, despite the very grave things we were talking about. The culture, the indigenous knowledge that was being lifted up, the amazing work that's being done, the deep spirituality. And there were really at least 3 major areas of work that were being presented to us. High-level diplomacy, resilience work, theology. Julianne's going to tell you some about those second two. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit. Here's some of the people who you'll see Archbishop Emeritus Winston Halapua there, and this is Dr. Beth Holland. And some of these people here have just been doing some amazing work on diplomacy. I'll try and summarise this story for you. It was amazing. It was a bit hard to get straight in my head. But I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years ago, the Pacific Island Anglican leaders became aware of the intense distress in some of the micronations as the sea levels were rising, as climate change was becoming an enormous issue. You'll see in a moment that sort of spontaneously all the different people who presented from around the world, including Aotearoa, showed pictures of their areas of the world flooded and burned and so forth by climate change, but of course particularly the tiny island nations. And the religious, particularly Anglican leaders, were able to talk to the secular political leaders and were able to, as the Paris conference, the very important conference in, was it 2015, on global warming was coming up, this amazing climate scientist who works in the Pacific at the invitation of all these groups, helped them go to Paris, and she was the representative of the Solomon Islands, and to present that 2 degrees, which was what was being discussed, 2 degrees of climate change was going to be too much. Our islands were going to be underwater. So they sort of Trojan horsed in via the Suva Declaration a more ambitious 1.5 degree target. Our church, then via the political leaders, came up with the 1.5 degree target whānau, and I was just so inspired by that. So that's really my time up. There's some of those pictures. So the diplomacy, really impressive. There's now a fossil fuel non-proliferation treaty we're being asked to sign. And on the very last day, a bit of discussion started to come from tikanga Māori and tikanga Pākehā in New Zealand reps about the need also for protest and creative, that kind of political advocacy. So just some pictures of people from all over our diocese involved in that, and that's the Fossil Fuel Non-Proliferation Treaty.